It all began with a notebook my mother handed me. She told me she found it while cleaning out the closet. This old notebook covered with mold was a diary that belonged to my grandfather who passed away years ago. It contained his distant memories. I wonder what it says. I wonder if you still remember how we first met and our many adventures. It all seemed like a dream. We ran like the wind during those warm summer days long ago. You were a piece of a star that fell from the sky. That's nice, I like that. What else we got? I can still relive the memories of those days long past, just by closing my eyes like so and whispering your name into the desolate night. Kid. Kid. One more time. Kid? Nope. Okay. Well, that was some nice text. Is that it? No, there's a lot more than this. Come on now. Ooh, look at that. Kid. Hey, kid. Hey. Ooh, it's night. Are you ready, kid? I know you're anxious, but stay on your toes. Yeah, likewise, mate. You mess up, and I'm leaving you behind. Got that, Surge? Think he got it. You think he got it? It's so dark. Look at the stars. Come on, Magil. Let's go. That bastard Lynx is gonna get what he deserves. Say your prayers, not that it'll do you any good. Hey, I think that was an impressive laugh. Pat myself on the back. Oh man, this is cool. I'm so excited. What's up, everybody? The Legend of W is playing Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition. So in this edition, there are two games, Chrono Cross, which we all know, and the Radical Dreamers, which is a text-based game, a text-based adventure game that never came outside of Japan. And to my understanding, this takes place before the events of Chrono Cross, which is why I'm going through the Radical Dreamers first before playing Chrono Cross. So I'm very excited because for many of us, this is our first experience. So I cannot wait to see what the story is about. So, okay, we got our controls. Let's just go. Enter a name, Densetsu, and press start to confirm. The old lady's tip-off was right on the money. The counterspell on the barrier round the outer walls could have done a real number on us. Kid's plain, unadorned braid flicked back and forth across her shoulders as she walked. We picked our way through the elaborate lattice of the manor's magic shields, moving in closer and closer to Lord Lynx's stronghold. There were three of us, Kid, Magil, and me. I guess it must have been 3 years already since I first met Kid. Back then, I was just a wandering musician, traveling wherever my feet would take me, and wherever a few tunes would pay for a warm bed. It was in the Outlands, in a town called Regiora, where we first ran across one another, and since then, she dragged me along on a whole bunch of adventures and misadventures too. Ah, Kid. She was a thief, and not just any thief, just a few months shy of 17, and already renowned as one of the realm's greatest. Dang. What's more, she was achingly beautiful, stylish, a joy to be around, and a dab hand at campsite cooking, or so she liked to claim. The truth was a little different. Those bandits were with hearts, those bandits with hearts of gold you've heard about in stories, the ones who steal from the rich to give to the poor. Yeah, that wasn't Kid's style. She was short-tempered, prone to lying, bossy, and obsessed with money. And rarely did she care to listen to a single word anyone said to her. Damn, just attitude problem. But she wasn't all bad. Probably. Maybe. Sometimes. She had her moments. Anyway. I glanced over my shoulder to see a shadow hovering behind us, blending into the darkness like smoke. Magil. Also known as Magil the Shade. He was Kid's partner, but even after 3 years, I still knew hardly anything about him. We kind of know about him, right? All I knew was that he was around 30 years old and not much of a talker, but he was one heck of a mage. I heard that he and Kid had started working together way before I met her. He always covered the top half of his face with a mask, and I'd never seen what he looked like underneath. He was a man so mysterious that it sometimes seemed like he was an interloper from another world. It wasn't like Kid was exactly big on details about her past, but Magil, he might as well not have had one. And Kid didn't seem to know much about her partner in crime either. What kind of man he was, what kind of life he'd lived before. Nothing. You might ask how exactly I wound up being a part of this merry band. Well, it's complicated. I guess you could say that life doesn't always turn out the way you think it will. Kid, who was heading up our little raiding party, suddenly stopped dead.
Look, lively boys. We've got company.
Company, huh? We glanced around the warily as cold, cruel eyes emerged from the darkness. Whoa. I heard a low growl. Dark shadows prowled through the night, surrounding us. A pack of wild cats. There must have been about 10 of them. A thrill of fear ran down my spine. Flustered, I pulled my knife from my belt. Kid calmly shifted into a fighting stance.
Watch yourselves. I don't reckon these buggers been treated for rabies?
Rabies, sorry. The wildcats snarled and growled as they slowly closed in on us, drawing the noose tighter and tighter. Their eyes glinted in the darkness like fireflies, and strings of eager spittle dripped wetly to the ground. Then one of them sent an almighty roar, soaring to the moon, and the hunt was on. Boy, what was I going to do? Oh, okay, this is where we get to interact. Okay, I tried to use magic. I attacked. Think fast! Kid dived into the thick of the pack of wildcats and gave the largest of their number an almighty kick in the chops. Damn, they didn't give me no time. The startled beast gave a yelp as it was sent flying. I turned to my right to see that a nearby wildcat was charging toward me, its head lowered menacingly. Panicked, I tried to make a last-second dodge, but I wasn't fast enough. Its claws scraped against my side as it rushed past me. I winced in pain for a moment, then turned to face my foe and readied myself. I struck it wildly. I tried to use magic, but I didn't know any spells. Oh, whoops. Okay, a wildcat lunged at me, its jaws agape. Ugh! My pure reflex, I shielded my face with my arm. An intense pain shot through me from wrist to shoulder. The wildcat tried to sink its fangs deeper, but its grip was poor. I shook it off and gave it a kick for good measure, sending it running back into the pack. Densetsu, behind you! Panicked by Kid's warning, I whirled wildly around and came face to face with a pair of eyes blazing like hellfire.
I defended myself. There wasn't time to do anything but try and protect myself. In a moment of sheer desperation, I crossed my arms to guard my face. Instantly, I felt the wildcat's fangs sink into my exposed wrist. It had thrown itself bodily at me. Bowling me over backwards. Ugh! My arm still in its powerful jaws, the wildcat pinned me to the ground and shook its head. I tried desperately to free myself, but it was clamped into me like a bear trap, and there was no way of getting loose. The sound of fang on bone was sickening. But just then, the creature recoiled with a screech. Kid had buried her knife deep into its gut. She quickly capitalized on its terror by giving it an almighty kick. Free of the wildcat, I staggered to my feet, holding the throbbing wound on my arm. I was breathing heavily. The handle of my knife was slick with sweat, and I tightened my grip. With a kick like a bolt of lightning, Kid landed a clean hit on the flank of a nearby wildcat. It staggered before losing its footing, letting out a pathetic cry. The Kid had already moved in to finish it off. Damn. And then, the roar of fire, a burning smell filled my nostrils, and next to me, a shrill screech pierced the air. Ooh! Magil's fire spell engulfed the head of a nearby wildcat. It fled, darting off into the darkness like an arrow. Damn. I guess I'm not that impressive, huh? Good job, guys. I scanned the area. Only moments ago, we had been surrounded, but now there wasn't a single wildcat left. Kid and Magil had either sent the rest off with their tails between their legs or put paid to them once and for all. Ha! You're dreaming if you think a pack of flea-bitten Moggies is gonna stop us, Lynx. Kid crossed her arms and flashed a triumphant grin. Meanwhile, I was panting heavily, and it felt like my legs were about to give out from under me. I collapsed to my knees, overwhelmed by what I'd just been through. I'd taken a few hits, but I was fine otherwise. A couple of scars to talk about later, maybe, but nothing that would stop me carrying on. Are you hurt? Magil looked down at me, his face expressionless as ever. No worries, Mag. He'll be alright, said Kid, barging in to get a better look at me. He may be a winging sook, but it'll take more than a few scratches to kill this one. She was nothing if not sympathetic. But she was right. This was no time to be bemoaning my lot. We hadn't even reached the manor yet. I dabbed at my wounds with a tincture-soaked cloth and wrapped them with bandages, then looked up at the other two. We were just getting started. Sorry I'm out. We're just getting started. We're just getting started, I grinned back, putting a brave face on things. That's what I like to hear, Kid cheerily announced from close quarters. But then her eyes turned cold, like the cool glow of the moon in the night sky. It's gonna be a long night. I nodded, trying my hardest not to utterly lose myself in her pale blue eyes. All right, let's get this show back on the road. She turned away and marched off deeper into the trees without looking behind to see if me and Magil were following her. Magil, of course, was already right behind her, his unhurried gait making it seem as though nothing much had happened at all. I jumped back to my feet to chase after them. I'd be in for even more trouble if I bargained than I bargained for if I got separated from them. And that's very true. All right. The dark forest inside the manor's perimeter seemed to go on forever, a labyrinth of trees and boulders. The manor itself loomed in the distance, glowing over the vast grounds, and hidden within was a veritable mountain of treasure, just waiting for us. Lord Lynx was the noble who ruled the remote territory of
Regiora! Damn it, I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. He was also Kid's mortal enemy. We were there that night to steal a certain jewel he kept locked away in his most closely guarded vault, the Frozen Flame. The Frozen Flame was veiled in mystery. It was said to be imbued with an uncanny energy and possessed a beauty and clarity that made it a priceless treasure. Countless thieves had tried to steal it, and not one of them had come close to succeeding. Nor had any of them escaped the manor alive. And now it was our turn to try and sneak into this place of death. Boy. Led by a girl who had the ambition to make the impossible possible, a hunger for vengeance that drove her onward, and a desire for riches that could never be satisfied. As we pressed on through the tree-filled darkness, the shadows gave way at last, revealing the true extent of the vast mansion. Oh boy, here we go. I gotta sit closer for this one. Look how beautiful it is. Damn. And scary. Finally! Say your prayers, Lynx, cause we're coming for you. Keeping into the overgrowth and the shadows of the trees, we made our way around the manor walls in search of a means of entry. Eventually, we came to a terrace overlooking the garden. There was no sign of any guards nearby. The only thing surrounding the manor was an uncanny stillness. This will lead us straight into the West Wing, just as well. We don't have any business in the rest of the manor tonight, said Magil, gazing up at the dark building towering over us in the night. Alright then, what are we waiting for? With that, Kid made to vault over the railing of the terrace. Stop! Magil hissed sharply. Remember what we're here for. Our main target is the vault and the frozen flame within it. We focus on this above all else. Your vengeance is of secondary concern. Agreed? Glancing over her shoulder, Kid replied with a reluctant, Yeah, don't get your knickers in a twist. But if we happen to run into him, I'm gonna knock that Drungle's block off, and neither you or anybody else is gonna stop me. I guess Kid was going to get her way whether we liked it or not. Let's go, boys. The night is young. She cleared the railing with a sprightly hop and vanished into the manor. I glanced toward Magil and nodded in silence. We followed Kid's lead and were soon inside the Lord Lynx's lair. The darkness swallowed us whole. A corridor stretched off to the left and right from the terrace. It seemed equally dark and chilly in both directions. We decided to go right down the corridor. Yeah, let's go right down the corridor. We pressed on through the darkness, down corridors that turned and twisted, snake-like, this way and that. Everything around us was still and silent, and it felt strangely like we were being watched. It was as if countless eyes— No, wait a minute! I gotta read the whole thing! We continued creepily, cautiously down the corridors. Kid moved proudly and stealthily like a cat stalking its prey, while in the shadows Magil followed, gliding swiftly and silently like a sinister breeze. We pressed on. Brrrah! We pressed on! Damn, they should just let me, read the whole thing. A short way along the corridor, running from the right-hand side of the terrace, we found an ancient-looking door, again on our right. Kid pressed an ear against it, listening for any signs of life. Dead quiet, don't reckon there's anybody in there. We opened the door. In we go, Kid still
stilled her breath and reached for the handle. The door wasn't locked. It swung slowly open. Oh boy, that was creepy. What's this room supposed to be? Place is a dump. Kid had poked her head in through the door, taken a quick peek to see if there was anyone inside, and was disappointed by what she found. What did she find? The room was large and littered with peculiar-looking machinery and knickknacks, all of which were covered in dust and had seemingly been dumped there haphazardly. Everything looked like it had been there rusting for a very long time. The ends of the room were completely dark, and it was impossible to tell just how big it was, or even what the walls and floor looked like. It seemed the manor's inhabitants had turned the old clock tower into a makeshift storage space some time ago. I stepped warily inside. Leave that alone. I looked over toward Magil and saw a kid trying to pull something from the shadows. It was a huge sword that appeared to be very old indeed. You don't need that old bludgeon. It'll only get in the way. And as much of an antique as it is, it won't fetch much on the market in that condition. Yeah, reckon it might, you know. There's plenty of collectors who just love old bits of junk. Well, some old bits of junk. Pouting, Kid left the sword where she stood. At least she put it back down gently. Okay. It was then that we heard a voice from the shadows. Uh-oh. And what exactly are you doing here? I just about jumped out of my skin. Who's there? Kid and Magil turned to face the voice, ready for a fight. Oh my god. A wizened crone emerged from the shadows with little birdies. She was hunched over and wore a hood draped over her face. I could tell at a glance that she wasn't just old, she was positively ancient. It's just some doddery old bag. What do you think you're doing sneaking up on us like that? Kid's shoulders relaxed as the tension left her body. Magil, however, continued to give the woman a piercing stare.
Oh, what an impish little thing you are. Here to visit a friend, perhaps? Not in the dead of night, I suspect.
The crone narrowed her eyes.
Let's take a closer look at you. Ah, yes. You must be here to get your revenge on Lynx.
How did she? My heart jumped. She seemed to know exactly who we were. We were in trouble. But if she sounded the alarm? What if she sounded the alarm? We'd have to give up on the treasure and run for our lives. What were we going to do? Just defiantly tell her she was right. So what if we are? Kid narrowed her eyes right back at the crone. What's it to you if we're here to get our revenge on old Lynxy boy? You gonna do something about it?
You never change, do you?
The crone chuckled madly, her small frame shaking.
Ah, the boldness of youth. Yes, that's the spirit.
You what? Kid looked at the crone completely confused. I was no less mystified. What the heck are you on about? Uh-oh.
Oh, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago. Yes, it was around then that an innocent young thief stole into the manor, looking to singe Lord Lynx's whiskers.
She couldn't have been much older than 10.
Oh, she couldn't have been much older than 10, now that I think of it.
Shocked, my gaze turned to Kid. A wet glint had appeared in Kid's eyes, but her glare was like ice. It certainly felt as if the temperature in the room had suddenly dropped below freezing. With a chuckle, the crone continued her story, pretending not to have noticed the change in mood.
She was an orphan, you know. Came after Lynx to avenge a woman who loved her like her own daughter.
What?
But all the vengefulness in the world couldn't change the fact that she was only a little girl. She was no match for the Lynx's men, sadly, and they quickly captured her.
Lynx
Lynx is the kind of man one would fear to have for an ally, but never mind a foe. Had it not been for the timely assistance of a friend of hers, the girl would have certainly been executed. The way the people of the manor told it, the very shadows pitied the girl and rushed in to spirit her away. I wonder how much of the tale could be true. I have nothing but sympathy for those who know failure. Of course, you can't win all the time. And sometimes, against all the odds, fate really can be foiled, and the clockwork of history sent into disarray. No, the ones I have no patience for are those who do not recognize their failure, or who fail and choose to give up as a result.
The crone looked up from under her hood, stared Kid directly in the face, and grinned. Kid's anger faded, giving way to a dumbfounded expression.
If you wish to steal the jewel from Lynx, if you truly wish to triumph, you have to let go of a treasure of your own, Kid. For as long as you cling onto it, the hands of your clock will never move. They'll stay exactly where they came to rest all those years. Who are you? Ho ho! Me? Why, I'm just an old bag, like you said. I do apologize. I must have taken up a lot of your time with all my babbling. I'll leave you in peace. Oh, but before I go...
The crone turned to face me. Yes?
You seem to be injured, young man. If you wish, I can take a look at your wounds.
With all the attention suddenly turned toward me, I panicked a little. Alright then, please do. What? Oh, alright then, please do. The crone muttered a few words as her bony fingers drew sigils in the air. A pale, gentle light began to surround my body, filling me with a strange warmth. Strike a light. That's no ordinary spell. Kid was impressed. I felt my wounds healing and heard a nostalgic melody that soothed the wounds in my heart. Before I realized it, the crone was gone. Hey, lady! Kid strained her eyes, scanning the darkness. But there was no one to be seen, and her calls went unanswered. Who the bloody heck was that? Kid looked like she just awoken up on the floor of the Laughing Pig after a few too many. And what did she mean about you having to let go of a treasure? Well, we won't find any answers here. Time to move on. Magil brought us back down to earth, emotionless as always. It almost seemed as if he thought nothing had happened at all. Yeah, I guess you're right. Kid walked quickly to the door, keen to move on. Hold it, you. Just as I was about to follow Kid out of the room, she jabbed me in the side with her elbow. You stingy little bugger, Densetsu. Why didn't you tell her to share some of that healing magic with the rest of us? Classic Kid. Oh, it's funny. The door led back into the corridor, which stretched off to the left and right. Rightward lay the depths of the manor, while the way to our left led back to the terrace.
We went right down the corridor. Yeah, let's continue there. Continuing down the corridor, we came across a rather sturdy-looking door on our left. Ooh. A little further on stood a stairway leading upward. Well, this door is clearly meant to keep something safe. If there ain't some kind of treasure behind it, me name ain't Kid. Yeah, that's the smell of cold, hard cash. All the right, she muttered to herself as she began to inspect the door more closely. We went inside. Bah! What, am I stupid? Of course it's bloody locked. Kid had tried the door handle a few times before, giving it a grumpy kick. Bloody door's got a magic barrier on it. And the bloody barrier's got a barrier on its own to boot. It'll take more on me to put that boot in to get through all that. I see. Then unless we find the key, we don't have a hope of getting inside. Reckon I can handle a key hunt, especially if that's that idiot Lynx who's hidden it. If we can find his room, I'll sniff it out in 2 seconds flat. You just watch. There was little more we could do here, so we decided to look elsewhere. We continued on. The corridor ended at the foot of some stairs. With Kid in the lead, we headed upwards. It was dark, and the stairwell was narrow. We watched our foot carefully as we climbed. The stone of the steps was worn smooth with age, and I lost count of how many there were as we spiraled onward and upward. An awful sense of foreboding haunted me. I had no idea why, but it felt as though we were marching to the gallows. When we arrived at the top of the stairs, we were greeted by an old, heavy door looming in the silence. Oh boy. Oh. All was deathly silent, and the still, clammy air added to the sense of ominous apprehension. Okay, the volume's kind of a little low. I'm gonna turn it up just a tiny bit. Something's very wrong here, I muttered, without thinking. I hear cursed whispers from beyond the door, Magil added, doing nothing to lift the mood. Ah, grow up, will ya? Kid shot back at us derisively. She was already examining the door. Well, if it ain't locked, and I don't hear anyone inside. We turned and went back down the stairs. We went inside. Of course, we're gonna go in. All right, here goes. Kid tried the handle. The door opened, and with a slow, heavy swing, revealed what lay beyond. Oh God. I'm not scared, okay? Please. I'm not scared. It's an old game. It was a small, cylindrical room that appeared to be the inside of one of the stone towers. It was completely deserted, and there were no windows. What's this supposed to be? Something about this place gives me the creeps. Still standing in the doorway, Kid seemed suddenly taken aback. There might be something in there. Let's take a closer look. A closer look at a bloody empty room? Pah! Might as well, I guess. We did climb all of them stairs. Kid stepped through the door, grumbling under her breath. I scanned the room, and then noticed something on the floor. The flagstones were covered in dozens of narrow scratches, and in places, there were thick black stains. Something in the stains spoke of a horror that no amount of scrubbing would ever wash away. A malice and a sadness beyond imagining. There's something written here. Crouching in front of a wall, Magil was inspecting some brownish markings that looked like more of the same stains. Someone's carved letters into the wall and scrambled them using blood magic? Kid had gone over to take a look. Looks pretty old. Hard to read too. Some of it's been worn away. Let's see. I cannot hold out much longer. My only hope now is to leave the Acacian Signet in this room. The Acacian Signet? I don't know if I said it wrong. Let me know in the comments below. I'm sorry. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. We jumped to our feet with a start. From above us, we heard an unsettling creaking sound. The walls and floor began to tremble. Ooh, what the hell is going on? Kid's eyes darted around the room as she desperately tried to figure out what was happening. The creaking sound from above continued, and the ceiling moved ominously closer. Up there! What's up there? Oh my god, spikes! Yeah, now we know where the stains came from. Blood, lots of blood. And are we dead? No, we can't be dead, right? We've walked right into a bloody trap. Kid bit her lip. We've got to do something and fast. We cannot. Don't have time to sit still and think about this. We tried to smash down the wall, barge the door. Kick sprang the door like an arrow, slamming into it shoulder first. But it was far too heavy, and her light frame bounced right off it. Damn it! Magil raced toward the door like the wind, smashing into it with ferocious force. It made a creaking sound and shook from the impact, but stood firm. Desperately, I hurled myself at it too. The shock of the impact rushed through my body, but it was no good. Meanwhile, the rusty creaking from above continued, as did the ceiling's inexorable journey downward. And to make matters worse, now countless blades were popping in and out. Oh god. Densetsu! Magil! This is gonna make the three of us, take the three of us. Timing our blows, we all charged the door at once. Yes, once, twice, a third time. And then the door was open, and we were collapsed in a heap in the corridor outside. What? Behind us, we heard the sound of the blade ceiling grinding on the stone floor of the tower room. Yee. That's scary. The metallic scraping noise it made was awful. We could only look in silent horror at the fate we so narrowly evaded. That's creepy. Very creepy. The machinery continued for a short while before slowly coming to a stop. It seemed the ceiling trap had finally finished its grisly work. Bugger me! Talk about a nasty surprise! It is some sort of execution chamber? Magil continued, seeming to be deep in thought. In any case, that writing mentioned Acacia. Yeah, what was all that about? I asked. The Acacia Dragoons, the elite knightly order serving General Viper, who once governed the territory of Galesburg to the west. Former knightly order, I should say. They were wiped out more than a decade ago by the lord of this very manor, no less. Thanks for the history lesson, Mag. Kid rose to her feet, putting off the dust. Too bad we're not here for fairy tale nights. Come on, we've got a lot more exploring left to do. Magil shrugged silently, and we headed back to the stairs. Damn, that was very creepy. With Kid in the lead, we headed downstairs. And we're back here. We went down the stairs and continued straight ahead, eventually coming across a sturdy-looking door on our right. The same door that we... The corridor continued further on back toward the terrace. We continued on. Wait, can we go inside? Okay, obviously we can't go inside. I just wanted to make sure. Alright everybody, that is going to be it for now. So in the next video, we'll continue on, I guess, toward the terrace once more, and I guess go to the left side of the manor. I really don't know where we're supposed to go now, but we explored the right side, and well, things were pretty dangerous on that side, so we're gonna check out the left side, I guess, and see what happens in this adventure. So stay tuned for more of the Radical Dreamers coming soon. So thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course hit the bell notification so that way you know when I upload next time, and I'll see you later in the next video. Peace.